Hi there, internet friends. This is just a very quick catch up. This is the latest video. It's a 2-hour monster. I just want to show you some bits of it. What's it about? The aim is that you can watch video 5 and you can watch this video 64 or whatever it is, whatever it'll be, by Wednesday, and you will basically have it. You will have just about everything. You might miss a detail here and there, but you'll have the grand strategic plan. What's going on? What is going on? Well, Rothschild is breaking up his planetary corporation, basically. That's basically what he's doing. And as he breaks it up, of course, he's going to contain China. He's going to withdraw, as the Trump administration is doing, withdrawing soldiers home. He's leaving the Middle East into the hands of China, Russia, and Israel. As you know, Israel is in bed with China. Pompeo has been over there telling Netanyahu to quit it. Now Pompeo is on the outer, and Pechenik's there telling him to go. Now, Dr. Steve Pechenik, for those of you that know, if you watch the previous videos, you'll see him there saying that the Constitution is outdated, that by 2028 they'll have Jared and/or Ivanka Kushner will be the President of the United States. Chabad Lubavitch Hasidim, probably gay. It'll be the first gay Hasidim president. And on it goes. You need to understand what's going on. It's not really about Trump. It's about army intelligence. It's above forms. It's army intelligence. It's above left wing. It's above right wing. It's army intelligence privatized. The link between the City of London, Wall Street, and army intelligence. Once you understand that, particularly Tampa, Florida, you begin Special Operations Command, you'll begin to understand everything. We're going to watch about 15 minutes, and then we're going to watch a quick bit of Kay Griggs, Henry Kissinger, who Dr. Steve Pechenik was part of his team. I remember he said 18 months ago, Dr. Kissinger, very reverent. And Kissinger has basically pulled a coup right there in the United States. You're seeing fires throughout California. They said over and over, we're going to take down California. That's why I said in previous videos, watch out California, something up. Joe Rogan's headed down to Austin, Texas to be with his buddies, Tim Kennedy, Delta Combat Applications Group. Shane Steiner, who I'm suspicious is the either son, grandson of Carl Steiner, Special Operations Command. General Carl Steiner, you'll hear Kay Griggs talk about it. You hear about Walt Whitman Rostow and Henry Kissinger and how they cooperated with the Israelis to knock off Kennedy. And you'll begin to see how that Allende coup they did in Chile with Kissinger at the helm. He was very proud of it, how they've basically done the same thing in the United States. Pechenik will also talk about the devolution of power away from the federal government. He says things like Congress and the Senate are gone, forget about them. And he said the power won't just come to the governors, it'll go to the mayors. It's going to be city-states. He's talking about city-states. What's he talking about for those who've been listening? He's talking about UN Smart Cities, communitarian law. And I guarantee you, Dr. Steve Pechenik, the son of European Jews who got out, avoided the Holocaust, and he ended up being born in Cuba, Dr. Steve Pechenik is, of course, I guarantee, a friend of Werner Falk, the German Jew who went to Israel, Israeli special forces and Israeli military intelligence, the founder of the modern communitarian movement, who's based in George Washington University, USA. I guarantee you they are friends and they talk. We're going to watch some of what Pechenik says. The stuff he's saying right now is Lincoln is a tyrant, the Constitution's outdated, the South taking over, all the stuff, and the industry is going to be moved to the South and the Midwest, and the cities like Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles are going to be left to rot. Now, if I said that, you wouldn't care. Pechenik is still in the game. He's a handler, and you don't just think he's some rusty old tool. Yeah, he's rusty, but he's still got a bit of oil on him, trust me. He's a handler. He's intimately linked with Kissinger, who's now in the White House. Let's watch the start of this. This video will take in Big Lenny, friends with Guru Amin Allah, who you've never heard of, but you will soon. A friend of the personal trainer of Roger Stone since 1994. You're going to talk about Richard Greenbaum, Washington, D.C., group sex, sex with trannies, transgender prostitutes on camera. Yeah, it's Roger Stone. What were you expecting? We're going to talk about the bodybuilding community, gay for pay in the bodybuilding community. We're going to talk about human growth hormone and steroid experiments on bodybuilders, off the books, done by a 19-year-old guru, Amin Allah, the personal trainer of Roger Stone, and how he was friends with the Bethesda Naval Hospital chief medical officer, and that's how he got pallet loads of highly expensive human growth hormone to try. That links in with Army Intelligence and J-Stock Special Forces. You're going to go, O'Connor, where did you get all this from? I watch a lot of stuff in my spare time. One of the things in my 20s, I was big into bodybuilding, and I still watch. I love Dave Palumbo and RX Muscle. They're a bunch of, it's hilarious. bunch of deviants, half of them, but it's pretty funny. 18 months ago, I saw that Roger Stone and Guru Amin Ali were like that, and I went, what's going on here? And I'm going to link it all together. We're going to link Roger Stone with good old Robert David Steele, the man who says, you know, child sex slaves are taken to Mars, taking a dump in the very important subject of child sexual assault and child sex trafficking, and how he worked with NATO as an open source intelligence advisor. He wrote books, and he was close to NATO psychological warfare operations. That's Robert David Steele, and you're going to see them all linked together in this video. It'll be 2 hours long. Let's watch a little bit of the start right now. Just a warning, if you are a transgender person, LGBT, you will possibly find this offensive. The language is foul. A lot of it, there's obnoxious sexual references and some pretty obnoxious things. So I warn you now to switch off. It's not bad, but it's bad enough. It's worthy of a warning.
All right, Manex, I have a new experimental pump product that is in this, actually will be taken nasally. I know some of you are good taking things anally and orally.
That's to loosen your sphincter, right?
It's just running in real time on the video.
I basically just start pounding as hard as I can while these girls are watching. And I put my left arm around his neck, and I choked the shit out of him.
While you were butt fucking.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I love it.
So I was talking about choking the crap out of a transgender prostitute for fun. Let's move along.
Surprised I didn't crack his neck, but...
And while I was here seeing Roger, we come.
So Guru Amin Ali, Roger Stone's personal trainer since 1994. Richard Greenbaum is the link. He used to train a professional bodybuilder called Shane Titus, who's in jail for 20, 30 years for murdered his personal assistant, heavy cocaine and ecstasy drug trafficking. You'll link it in with Special Forces, Iran, Contra, Florida, Las Vegas. You'll link it all in.
We contacted Big Lenny, and Big Lenny came over to see Roger, and he had also met Roger. And
what did Roger Stone think of Big Lenny?
You know, he just didn't really think of much.
You think
Birds of a feather, that's what he thought.
Roger can get Big Lenny elected like mayor of something like down here?
You never know.
Imagine that, Roger working on the Big Lenny campaign.
Mayor of Steve Pachenik city.
Roger can make anyone
Roger,
elected.
you think Roger can get rid of the tranny video that
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Roger can make anything go away, right?
We're going to stick together here media-wise.
As we move into the US election cycle, there is much to discuss. A whole lot of theatre. A whole lot of privatised army intelligence. Private security contractors posing as rioters.
We gotta get Joe Rogan flying around your helicopter.
What the hell?
Hey, Joe hasn't called me.
Okay, I just realized this is I'm pressing the buttons to control the video editing, the screen recorder, and it's affecting this.
We got to get Joe Rogan flying around your helicopter.
Hey, I mean, Joe hasn't called me.
He called me up. He goes, Hammer, you flying around in Tim Kennedy's helicopter? And I go, oh, you mean Shane Steiner's helicopter?
He's going to have one soon.
Privatized data analytic companies contracted to the US and Israeli intelligence community, such as Danology and General Jones, with whom Roger Stone had a close association.
Explain it, because it doesn't hurt my feelings. Explain. He wouldn't come here first.
I'm the pioneer of IIA, basically social media fake news. The last place that I'm going to go is a organization called Information Warfare, right? So our number one partner, and this is 2008, 2009, 2010, our number one partner. Hell, we were McCain's IT security company and social media company during the 2008 primary. We were replaced in a subprime shift with Paul Manafort and Roger Stone, right? So your partner is someone who was...
This is why Alex Jones sacked Millie Weaver, and the week before he was saying Millie Weaver has been bad-mouthing Trump. That was before the arrest. I don't believe it was set up, not by them, may have been set up by someone else. Their body language and tone of voice told me they were genuinely scared and shocked. Who knows? But, you know, that's the thing that had Roger Stone going off, and Alex Jones, he's taken it all down. You can't find where he interviews Roger Stone, and Jones is having an absolute heart attack. He's literally saying, I'm sorry, Roger, I didn't mean to link you with Danology and General Jim Jones, and he's claiming you're running he never made any such claim, and it's all gone. Softband.video, it's all gone. I want to destroy Alex Jones now. I want to destroy him personally.
Who is close personal friends to my boss, Jim Jones, his dad, General James Jones, and Dynology, the company I worked for, when I'm helping them make these flyers, didn't have any salespeople. And 3EDC...
But explain that to people, because I know that General Jones was involved consulting Trump early on. Mm-hmm. I know he has some involvement because Stone goes around and works with all these groups.
And then you have this.
I'd like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
That you've never heard of. People that are in the dark shadows. People that...
What does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory. Dark shadows.
No,
what is that?
People that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets. They're people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend, and in the plane it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms, black uniforms with gear and this and that. They're on a plane.
Where's this?
I'll tell you sometime, but it's under investigation right now.
Understand this Patrick Berge quote.
Sure. If it benefits them to...
Please burn this quote into your brain.
Attack Trump, they will attack Trump. If it benefits them to use Trump to hurt their enemies, they will use Trump to hurt their enemies. It has nothing to do with politics.
It's all very sociopathic.
It's nothing to do with politics. It's all about power and profit. People got to get the politics out of their mind with this. Once you can accept that, it starts making sense.
The Israelis train with the SEALs. They do a lot of wet ops, murders.
Alex Jones admits to close association with Special Operations Command and the US Psychological Warfare Command. Coast to Coast AM on the 9th of August 2017 with George Noory. If you don't know George Noory, he's got the second largest radio show in the United States. Well, we're not going to watch too much more. It's long. It's over 2 hours, but I promise you watch video 5 and you watch video this one, which will be 64 or whatever, you will get it. You will understand what they're doing, setting up Cold War 2.0 and using... report from Iron Mountain. They've got to use the military-industrial complex and the threat of war for the War Powers Act, executive dictatorship, and technology innovation, the great socialist handout to the high technology companies. It's in the UK, China, Russia, Israel, and of course the United States. They're all working together. You can't just bring down the military-industrial complex in the United States. In fact, you've got to make it stronger, but you've got to make it work for you, because you can't just leave Russia and China and Israel to the AI. They've got to be taken down.
Okay. Over here.
You know what? The public deserves to hear this and to get it straight. Now, how did you get Donald Trump on your show 3 times prior to the election? How did you pull that off?
All right, I never tell.
They're all from New York. They all keep it in the family. They're all a bunch of unpaid actors.
Tell this on my own show, and this will probably end up being news tomorrow, but you deserve it. I know folks that are part of Delta Force, and I know people that are part of covert action in the Defense Department and the CIA. And quite frankly, they've given me authorization to talk about this. I have never been in the CIA. I have never been part of covert operations, but separately, I've had family. I've had family that got like 7 silver stars and stuff like that. But
that's Uncle Bucky. Also, Bucky, there's a Bucky Steiner, and I'm presuming that's a link between Shane Steiner and Alex Jones, Uncle Bucky, and related to General Carl Steiner, head of Joint Special Operations Command.
It's all classified. Some of the highest decorated people in the country. I'm very proud of those people. They're a lot more manly than I am, and most of them are dead. But
so that's Pachenik. Do not write him off as a has-been at all. He was right there with Cyrus Vance. He was deputy head of the State Department, right-hand man to Henry Kissinger and Paul Bremer in the 70s, going into the 80s. And Walt Whitman Roster, Heinz Kissinger, they were both directly involved in the assassination of Kennedy along with Israel. And now you're going to see Kissinger back in the White House. That's why they took Bannon down when Bannon went after Kissinger.
People involved in regime changes, you name it. Right here in Texas, fighting hard for the Republic.
Fighting hard for the Republic. Yeah, okay. And now what is his handler and owner for 20 years, who the Goldman Sachs boy, Steve Pachenik, who founded all these nutraceutical companies that Alex Jones uses? He founded them all. He funded them all. What's he saying about the Republic?
Well, the model, let me be very frank. I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated.
And I was basically contacted by groups inside the Special Forces operations in Florida, inside breakaway groups inside the Central Intelligence Agency, and groups basically behind American industry that wanted to defeat the globalists, and they're planning to bankrupt America. And so they told me that they were advising Trump on the globalist takeover.
Let me tell you, it's very simple. Who runs the show? Joint Special Operations Command in league with Wall Street and the City of London. Period. Period. They are the deep state. You can't get any more deep state than Henry Kissinger. George Soros is running everything with Hillary and Obama in the sperm-drinking, blood-drinking, child sacrifice, cannibal, adrenochrome, blood-drinking lizard bunker. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And he won't say Kissinger. He said it 3 times after we hammered him. Now he's deleted me off his banned.video comments section. All right, Jones just says the same script over and over and over again. I'm not saying not vote for Trump. You ain't got a choice. You have to vote for Trump because Biden's not an option. You were never meant to have an option. That's the point. It's City of London, Wall Street, Army Intelligence, Joint Special Operations Command, Iran-Contra, same people.
Takeover and the takeover.
Privatized. It's privatized everything. Privatized mercenary groups. Like Blackwater, it's privatized intelligence agencies now. Anyway, let's just keep going.
And that they understood from their demographics and their studies that we actually had conservatively 15 million people a week visiting Infowars.com and tens of millions watching our videos, and that they briefed the president, or now then candidate Trump, and that they wanted to attempt a counter coup against the globalists.
I'm glad you feel the storm come, but quite frankly...
Anyway, you've seen this where Pachenik says on January 19th, a coup, military generals are in charge. It's all good. We have several military generals in charge. We have every congressional district. Do you realize how big this is? And it's all in the paper that Roger Stone was calling for a coup and the arrest of his enemies. It's all in the papers now, in the media. And this has been, they don't mention it. Have you ever asked yourself how interesting it is that... Oh, sorry, I just realized I was on the wrong view. I wanted the full screen anyway. Have you ever realized how interesting it is that Alex Jones is the biggest enemy ever of the globalists, but you can find his address to he has his studio in his old man. His old man's a rich dentist, millionaire. He's got a huge, big dental practice. It's like 3 stories high, a big building in Austin, Texas. You can see it online. That's where he's got his studios and stuff. And you could go down there, protest. They could wait for him, shoot him, but no one ever does. No one ever goes down there, breaks a window. No one ever goes down there to protest with banners and flyers. The number one enemy of the globalists and George Soros is completely untouched. No one's ever, they don't publicise where he lives. They don't have video cameras of people protesting Alex Jones. He's got his staff getting run after, but Alex Jones remains untouched. I'm sure you'll work it out. So let's move along a little. Basically, they keep saying things like, Netanyahu's great, he's okay, there's no problem.
And so I'm just revealing to you here on air that I was recruited by patriot elements inside the shadow government to take on a communist Chinese funding operation. It's not Russian.
If you watch my channel, then you know how ridiculous this is. It's all Israel and China and Russia all working together for the Belt and Road project. Rothschild's Pan-Eurasian superstate, the Mackinder World Island. The only person I've seen talk about it passionately over and over is Steve Bannon. You can love or hate Steve Dodgy Bannon, whatever. He's the only mainstream I've seen do it. He talks about the City of London, Rothschild, the Party of Davos, Wall Street. You're all going to pay, he said, and we're starting with Kissinger. And boom! 3 months later, Kissinger's in the White House and Steve Bannon's on charges.
They admit communist Chinese have over 10,000 front companies. They penetrated everything.
Jeez.
My sister's Korean, adopted. I love the Asian people.
They've penetrated everything. Yes, because Israel's opened all the doors for them. That's why.
But communist China has penetrated us fully, and things were getting so bad they were going to ban free speech in 2017. And our friends in Israel, you say people want to demonize Israel all day. It's because the real folks that are in Israel, the real people.
The real people, he means European Jews who suffered in the Holocaust, not those brown-skinned Semites who actually are related to the old Israelites. But anyway.
Understand what it is to be persecuted and targeted, and Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu, they're trying to remove from office right now. And again, I was never even a fan of Netanyahu. I wasn't his enemy. I just wasn't studying it.
He wasn't studying at 50. He knows he's just a piece of shit. Jones is such a piece of garbage. You see, Bannon handles the more astute arm of the Trump base, and Jones handles the lower parts of the Trump base.
Have come to America's aid to defeat this. And
so Israel's come to America's aid to defeat this when Israel's done all the penetration, Zohar, Zissapel, Rad Group, all the electrical grids, Variant, all the databases for policing and other agencies, Amdocs, all the billing services, you know, the 5 dancing Israelis, you know the whole thing. Watch my channel. They've got hold of Microsoft. They've got Microsoft Adelon, the security for the Microsoft Azure Pentagon Cloud. They've got everything, Microsoft Windows, Office 360, Election Guard software for electronic voting, all Israel. Well, the Chinese.
And this is what you're seeing right now. This is toe-to-toe battle with the globalists, and they were going to shut down free speech. I mean, Donald Trump was advised by the Special Forces Command out of Florida. They said
to go on your program.
I mean, that's who.
Look, we know all this stuff. We'll wind it up a little bit.
I'd say 90% of the CIA, Defense Intelligence, military, special ops is behind us.
The Israeli.
And I believe that. They are. That's why I keep saying, I'm under attack. He's not under attack. He's making a fortune. It's the biggest theater on earth. Do you seriously think they're serious by putting up a senile, dirty old man like Biden? Are you serious? Anyway, Kay Griggs. God, I love Kay Griggs. God bless Kay Griggs. There's Steve Pachenik telling us more about the coup that's taken place. That was November 26th.
Thing we had to do in order to save the republic. So we initiated a counter coup through Julian Assange, who's been very brave and really quite formidable in his...
He wants to save the republic by causing the complete shattering and breakup of the United States and putting the power to the Hunger Games type mayors and East India Trading Company, breakup of India, breaking up the United States. King George gets his wish, gets those damn colonials back under control. Let's go to the end bit here, and then we'll pop over to Kay Griggs to give you a reminder about Kissinger and Walt Whitman Rostow and the Vietnam War and the assassination of Kennedy, just so you know the same people are right there in charge right now.
For it, it's outdated. It will go on to Pence. From Pence, it will go on to Ivanka or Jared Kushner, and we will remain a viable country.
He said that with a straight face. The first gay Chabad Hasidim president of the United States. If you don't know, Jared Kushner is gay. She is a beard.
And a great country. I have no fear.
To you.
This has nothing to do with political parties. They control them all. They, meaning the private Rothschild intelligence network, East India Trading Company, via the City of London and Wall Street, and Army intelligence.
It's fiddling because this is an older laptop. I need a new one. It just constantly stutters and can't quite handle the... Anyway.
Now privatised. Rothschild is breaking up and restructuring his planetary corporation. The world is a business, Mr. Beale.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it! Is that clear? You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today.
In the United States, basically the entire US intelligence community is a Blackwater private security outfit tied intimately with Israeli companies and their army intelligence graduates out of Unit 8200 and the Telpiot program. So
you got to watch that one, Unit 8200 take over New York Pentagon. And we'll head on down a bit. Remember what Bannon said about Kissinger, just briefly.
Steve Bannon said this on the War Room.
Here's why. All the hedge fund, all the bankers, all the marketing people, all the lawyers, everybody, all Davos man. You knew about the Falun Gong. You knew about the organ harvesting. You knew about East Turkestan and the Uyghurs. You knew about the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan Buddhists. You knew about the underground house Christians. You knew about the underground Catholic Church. You knew about the Tiananmen Square freedom movement. Every person in China that's ever fought for freedom you knew about. And you worship at the foot of a totalitarian dictatorship. There's blood on your hands, and trust me, to my last breath, we're going to hunt you down and expose it all. And we're starting with Kissinger.
Watch video 59 for the full analysis of what happened. Bannon despises Kushner. And as you know, Dr. Kissinger's right-hand man, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, had stated Kushner will run for president in 2028 with Ivanka by his side in a sad and pathetic attempt at a Camelot, JFK and Jackie repeat.
So 2028, they'll usher in the age of communitarian law. You watch the city-states, communitarian law, the little New York liberal Chabad, they'll usher in the age of the kibbutzim, communitarian, Werner Falk, Amitai Etziani, Nikki Rapana and Friedrich Nordica. Communitarian, we have to go into all of that stuff, and this video will. It'll go into Major Jordan's diaries, technology transfers to Soviet Union, building up the Soviet Union, setting out the Cold War to justify the military-industrial complex, technological innovation to build up finally the AI god, 5G, optic fiber connections, instantaneous low ping to make the world brain with the input of 7 billion humans stuck in their smart cities with robot overlords. Watch video 5 and you will understand, and when you watch this video in full, you will completely understand what is going on. Let's do a little bit more.
It will go on to Pence. From Pence, it will go on to Ivanka or Jared Kushner, and we will remain a viable.
Front page news here, not a squeak. Openly talking about martial law, openly talking about the end of the Republic. Lincoln is a tyrant, a monster. The Constitution's outdated. Yeah. What's happening online, everyone? Yeah. Not a blimp. You know, fires in California. What are those fires related to? They're running everywhere. They're going to run the tech out of there over to Israel and down. Although someone said they're doing development in New York, global foundries and Intel, remains to be seen. They want to run it all down to the south. They're breaking up the United States.
Viable country and a great country. I have no fear.
Kissinger's right-hand man, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, also said this about the U.S. Constitution.
Let me be very frank. I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated. And what's happening now is we're coming into a new realism, a hyper-realism, where the states become more important. The devolution of power from the federal government, I told you, is happening very quick.
The devolution of power. He's talking about another civil war. This is what Lincoln fought to stop, the devolution of the states. I mean, he's just saying it out now. Out and out. See, he's right down there in Tampa, Florida, hanging with JSOC, Special Operations Command, working for Wall Street in the City of London. Hope you're happy, America.
You can see the full rundown here in video 61 on my channel. Is anyone else even talking about this? Or are they too busy on the latest clickbait? Let's focus on Roger Stone for a bit. Close personal friend of Donald Trump for 40 years, so you get the full flavour. We'll go into, quote, tranny porn and Alex Jones. Alex, as you may know, is crying poor again, as usual.
So we're trying to hold the dam against the Satanists and the armies of hell, and we pray to Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father to lead, God, and direct us against this enemy. But I need money to fight a war, and I need word of mouth, and I need prayer, and I need action, because that dam's going to come down.
The ultimate psychological warfare actor right there.
That dam's already got holes in it. And the enemy's telling you, don't stick your fingers in it, don't block it, everything's fine. Peaches and cream are on the other side. No! You know it's not peaches and cream. Trump's told you hell's coming, one way or another. Only question is, do we have a president in the middle of the fight against the New World Order, or is it going to be us that does it? But we know we're not giving up.
Look, there is no fight. Trump's going to romp him. All right? It's a done deal. It's just keeping up the chaos, the drama, so you'll give up your security, so you'll give up your freedom for security. All right? Pretty simple.
All this despite his handler of 20 years, Dr. Kissinger's right-hand man, Steve Pachenik.
Anyway, there's Roger Stone complaining that Alex Jones is loaded and he wants 25 grand off him. There's all sorts of stuff here. We'll go along to a bit of K. Griggs because I want to remind you what Kissinger is, the ultimate commie Kissinger. Bernie Sanders, if the Dems were serious, they'd have Bernie Sanders there, of course. We get into the human growth hormone experiments off the books, which is very interesting. It ties in with JSOC Special Forces, Richard Greenbaum, drug trafficking, Craig Titus. I want to watch a little bit of this, just a little bit of this. Craig Titus is a legendary bodybuilder. Oh, God. Some of these guys are hilarious. Let's watch a bit of this Dave Palumbo, RX Muscle.
Admitted that everything was true.
We'll go into Guru Amin's long-term friendship with the infamous Big Lenny.
Anyway, getting back to what we were saying, we were talking about Big Lenny, and I think you didn't realize, John, that Big Lenny had done I don't know, what would you call it, Greg, a tranny porn video?
She's urinating on his face there. They do other things, spit into each other's mouths. You have no idea. It's sick. He's off his head on cocaine and obviously steroids. That's where they roll. That's where Roger Stone gets his coke from. He's a huge cocaine fiend.
Absolutely. I listen, I like Big Lenny.
Greg Valentino, absolutely hilarious. You'll know him if you keep... I won't go. Greg Valentino's got his own video. It's hilarious.
And I think he's a great guy. But I think he let those guys talk him into some shit.
Who's those guys? I can't even believe this.
Who are those guys? Video, trannies, tranny porn, gay for pay.
Some inside information on Big Lenny here. First of all, joining us in the studio, I have a very special guest today who stopped by and surprised me. Guru Amin Alai, welcome to the show.
How are you?
How you doing, Amin?
Good to see
What's
you.
up, Amin?
Good to see you.
Now,
Great.
as I'm telling the story, which, by the way, I haven't said 3 words to Amin since he's been here. As we're telling the story, Amin says to me, I just left Lenny. I was just with him. I'm like, what?
Serious?
Is that true?
Yeah. I saw Big Lenny day before yesterday. It was.
Did you go visit him, or you just happened to run into him like in a supermarket?
No, I told him I was going to be training Roger, and if he wanted to come, he could come. He drove an hour to see me.
Wow. Lenny has a car?
He arranged one.
Oh.
I had to mess around with the audio. Let's keep going on. Let's go to Gay for Pay. This ties in with Joe and Ben Weeder. They're like the legends, the bodybuilding world, which is huge. You may laugh at it, but it's massive. It's massive. The Weeder brothers, hardcore Zionists, they brought Arnold Schwarzenegger over and associated with Chabad Lubavitch too. You're not going to believe how much Chabad Lubavitch is completely tied in with all of this.
Did he blow the tranny?
As you can see.
Valentino, let's watch the joke.
Need something. Did the car work or did he blow the tranny?
As you can see, Roger Stone's friends are real classy people. We'll go into drug trafficking within the bodybuilding community.
That's Lee Priest. He's a legendary Australian bodybuilder.
We'll go into gay prostitution in the bodybuilding community.
That's 1995, around the same time they were all training together.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail?
I was just going to ask you about people who have what different bodybuilders' jobs were coming up. Obviously, we know what your job was. So for the bodybuilders, and there were a lot of upcoming guys that were training there who wanted to like make it, so to speak. What were guys doing for a living back then? Because when I would go to California in the 90s, I you know what? I can't live here. No one works. I said, how am I going to live here? I'm going to be poor. I said, there's no work ethic here. What do people do for money there? aside from the possible the gay for pay that was going on.
We'll go into sexual compromise within the bodybuilding community and Arnold's legendary posing for rich gay men to pay his bills early into his career. This flows into the Epstein and Maxwell case. Remember those people? They seem to have disappeared from the airwaves a little. I guess Henry Kissinger's job was done and the deep state swamp creature network is back in line before the election. We can forget about Epstein and Maxwell and the implications for now. Maybe they'll prop it up again later.
How ridiculous. Prince Andrew, where's all the CEO executives? What, Lex Wexner? That's all you got? They were one of dozens. This is part of the network I'm going to tell you about now. It's all drug trafficking, compromise, gay for pay, all this stuff. Cameras, sex with trannies on camera, you name it, sex with goats. Troy McCanty, notorious Australian bikie, high-level Mason involved with the police. You're not going to believe this stuff. And his friends were offering me a job in Belgium down the road from NATO with my own apartment. Go and read my UN document.
We're going to go into the Canadian Jewish brothers who started the massive bodybuilding business worldwide. Joe and Ben Weider. You've probably never heard of them, but trust me, in bodybuilding, they are the legends. They created Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Now, bodybuilding is becoming huge and it's going to get bigger. It's all going to be self-narcissism, your body. Women aren't going to want to get pregnant and, get stretch marks on their bellies. And everyone's going to try and look beautiful, go to the gym, take life extension drugs, human growth hormone, IGF, steroids. And you'll go on 5 festivals. You'll go on these festival runs around the planet, keep yourself busy on your self-driving vehicle in your UN Smart City, run by Werner Falk and the Communitarian Movement and Steve Pachenik.
They're the Montreal men who molded Arnold Schwarzenegger into a bodybuilding champion and formed a fitness empire.
Joe Weider picked up a weight and from there went on to change the world.
In the world of bodybuilding, they are legendary. Joe and Ben Weider, founders of the Weider Fitness Empire. What started as a $7 investment in the 1930s has turned into a $500 million empire.
Joe Weider was born in 1920 in the Jewish ghetto, and he was a scrawny kid who got picked on a lot.
I took up bodybuilding because I was weak.
I remember reading years ago, Arnold would tease him relentlessly about the Holocaust till he cried. I've never worked out their relationship. Never.
You got Arnold.
We'll go into their empire's close relationship with Israel as fanatical Zionist Israeli firsters and how that may well tie back into the Epstein and Maxwell effect.
So the Ben Weider Foundation has donated gyms around the world as part of their bodybuilding outreach, including in Israel and Palestine. Ben endowed what is now known as the Ben Weider Jewish Community Center in Montreal and also supported 2 Lubavitch institutions, a charismatic and sometimes controversial branch of Orthodox Judaism. He was an admirer of a Lubavitch head, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, a religious leader who was a major force in Israel. Less widely known is the fact that he made statements that Jews are a different and superior species to non-Jews. That's talking about Chabad Lubavitch. There they are again. They're everywhere. We're getting there.
You see where we're going with this. They also brought Arnold Schwarzenegger to America. Anecdotally, I remember reading in a Joe Weider commentary in one of his magazines, and We'll go into Guru Amin and how, at the tender age of 19, he had a close relationship with Roger Stone when they met in a gym in Washington, D.C. back in 1994. At that stage, Amin was training a well-known high-level Democrat who's unnamed, I might add, and several liberal journalists at the tender age of 19.
Richard Greenbaum is the link to drug trafficking, Bethesda Naval Hospital, JSOC, and I cannot find a single thing on Richard Greenbaum and his wife Jennifer. Richard Greenbaum died last year of colon cancer, and apparently his wife Jennifer's got colon cancer. Let's watch a bit more.
Builders to see the effects.
At that, way back when I was a teenager, I knew the senior chief of military medicine.
Oh, I just knew the senior chief of military medicine at Bethesda Naval Hospital. Yeah, no big deal.
At Bethesda Naval Hospital.
It was Richard Greenbaum who introduced him. They don't say that, but that's who did.
I was getting growth hormone before anyone in the whole world was, when it was
7 times Mr. Olympia.
First 192 protropin and then 191 by Humatrope. The Bethesda Naval Hospital is the President's Hospital, and right across the street from it is National Institute of Health. Between these two places, no drug goes anywhere without it being there first.
I just smell Fauci. I don't know what's going on, but synchronicity. I'm just picking up this stuff as I go along, and I'm just thinking there's a giant network here. There's a huge network.
They had 600 bricks of Humatrope, and
which is what Kay Griggs described, the mob. New York, New Jersey, Boston mob, Atlantic City, drug trafficking, 16 tons of coke in Philadelphia, on and on. Watch video 5.
I was friends with her. He literally said, here's the paperwork. We really don't know how to take it. What do you think? How do you use it? And that immense amount of paperwork, which was the equivalent of a couple of law library boxes, ended up being condensed into a pamphlet. They left quite a bit out, and some of the equations that I know have never been seen. And so that this is why I understand a much deeper way that growth hormone works on the human body.
Why was this 19-year-old given this? What the hell was he doing hanging with the head of military medicine? Who introduced 19-year-old Guru Amin Ali to the senior chief of military medicine at Bethesda Naval Hospital? Well, most likely it was Richard Greenbaum, whose wife Jennifer used to train Roger Stone's wife, Nadia.
And Richard knew a lot of other bodybuilders, including myself, who was bodybuilding at the time.
He knew everyone, because he used to call me up and he would give me...
Yeah, this guy was saying, I don't know how he was so switched in, because he's an intelligence asset. That's why Richard Greenbaum knew everything that was going on. That's why he had access to cocaine, ecstasy, and human growth hormone and steroids, because they're all linked in with JSOC, Army Intelligence. I guarantee you there's Eric Prince in there somewhere, and all sorts of people based down there in Florida with Dr. Steve Pachenik and Henry Kissinger.
He like the gossip. He knew every little... He was like...
Let's skip along. Let's have a little taste of Craig Titus. I remember him in the 90s when I was into my bodybuilding phase. He was trained by Richard Greenbaum.
There's a lot of people that were blessed through the grapevine.
Yeah, the grapevine.
Craig also was being blessed through the grapevine, by the way. So everybody...
That's the Army Intelligence grapevine.
Craig knew for a while.
Iran-Contra, still in operation. The Dixie Mafia.
Wow.
We're then going to go into Craig Titus, trained by the same Richard Greenbaum at the beginning of his career.
Las Vegas, Nevada attracts a dancer hoping to see her name in lights. But she discovers that Sin City lives up to its name, and fame comes at a heavy price, as beauty and brawn mix together to produce an explosive, wicked attraction. Titus gained weight, muscle, and respect, but at a price. He became addicted to performance-enhancing drugs.
One of the side effects of steroids is increased in aggression. There can be rage outbursts that are sometimes commonly called roid rage associated with steroid use. And there's no question that Craig's angry psyche, his tough guy, beat on your chest demeanor, was fueled in part by his steroid use.
Everyone who knew Craig in the bodybuilding world knew he was volatile, he was arrogant, he could be very cocky. A lot of his fellow bodybuilders just did not like him.
In Craig's case, I think there was a significant degree of narcissism.
It's called cocaine. Ma-na-na-na, na-na. If you wanna get high, na-na-na, na-na-na. Cocaine.
He returned to the bodybuilding circuit.
This guy was a bodybuilding legend at the time in the 1990s. He murdered his personal assistant with the assistance of his then girlfriend. She had allegedly caught them dealing drugs, a lot of drugs. They had strangled her with wire, beaten her, tasered her and burnt her body. Titus was dealing large amounts of ecstasy and cocaine in the mid-1990s.
He was very boisterous about his lifestyle to the point where it was stupid. You know, like we got back to Kamali's room and he started doing coke right there in Kamali's room. Lines of
right in front of you.
Lines of coke. Listen, I don't have anything bad to say. I'm just telling you the truth.
Right,
this is
right.
what happened, you know? And this is when I saw it. He whipped out like this much money.
Oh, wow.
To pay for a meal that costed like 2 pieces of paper, whatever increments it would have been.
Yeah.
20, okay? And no normal person would do that. Now, I'm young, but I'm not stupid.
Right.
So instantly I'm like, okay, drug dealer.
Right, right.
Drug dealer. Okay. Now, mind you, Craig didn't let people know he was a drug dealer at this time. This is 1994, okay?
Sure.
Nobody knew about Craig Titus and dealing drugs at that point. Am I right?
I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so this is crazy, but this is how all this shit ties in. And I don't think I've ever told anyone this, so here you go. We're all past the time where it's actually going to make a damn bit of difference.
Right.
So Craig puts me on the phone with some guy to talk to him about taking some gear and stuff. And that guy, I found out later, that guy was the guy that was setting him up, and that call was recorded.
Oh, no, really?
Right, duffel bags of drugs. I'm sorry, my recorder just ran out of batteries, so we'll be using pretty poor quality sound. I just changed the batteries. I don't know what just happened then. It's now saying there's no batteries. Okay, that's very frustrating, but let's just carry on. Okay, this ties in with Chabad Lubavitch and Sheriff Israel, Scott Israel, good friends of Roger Stone. We're down there in Florida, Chabad Lubavitch again.
And lines off naked girls.
While he's prepping for the Nationals, right?
While he's prepping for the fucking Nationals. Yeah. This is all like right when I get there. I haven't even had a chance to really tell him, can't fucking do this, dude. This isn't going to work. Like, this is part of the program.
Let's keep moving right along. Robert David Steele, Sean Atwood, around the same time. He's in Phoenix, Arizona, doing a lot of ecstasy, and I smell a rat. I smell a giant rat amongst them all. There's a network popping up. He pops up. That's his little crack hoe who he claimed lost the plot, and the poor thing, she was sex trafficked. No, she's a prostitute, and both got high and were having sex, and she came down hard on the meth and then lost the plot. This guy is just a joke, if you've seen his latest. But he's Johnny on the spot now, getting all this cross-promotion. That's him in his heyday. He wasn't just he wasn't a dashing Barry Seal. He was a low-life meth and ecstasy dealer, threatening women to burn their houses down. He's a piece of garbage.
Road from perpetual drug addict and Russian-Ukrainian gangster groupie John McAfee. Yeah, that John McAfee.
I'm John McAfee. I'm the guy that's accused of murdering the lead. His name is Guatemala. The FBI is going to be looking for him if you don't call him, sir. The FBI?
Yeah, well, the FBI is looking for him because he's a rat. He works for the FBI like a good old rat.
Atwood is now Johnny on the spot with regards Epstein and Maxwell, and had on CIA case officer Robert David Steele.
There's Steele, who's good friends with Al Gray, the ultimate cherry Marine. He worked with Al Gray. He ghost wrote his book with Al Gray. We're going to get to that briefly. Remember Al Gray? Worked with him, Marine University, and ghost wrote his book. And just praises Al Gray, the cherry Marine. You're going to find all the linkages. That's Jerome Corsi. There he is. Robert David Steele, Jerome Corsi. You're going to work it out.
Other than arch-Israeli
Army intelligence. This is a network. Drug trafficking. Sex trafficking. I mean, if you want to cover up your sex trafficking, what do? Well, you shut down you shut up your network by knocking off Epstein, and you put your jockeys on the horse. That's why do you think Robert David Steele is running around going, they're kidnapping children and taking them to Mars? Why do you think he's doing that? He's taking a big dump, a big shit in a very important punch bowl. You got to work out Robert David Steele, please.
First Zionist scumbag Jerome Corsi. Apparently Robert David Steele is exposing the evil Zionist overlord Maxwell and Epstein's sex rings by hanging around with hardcore Israeli First Zionists, perhaps part of his cunning plot. And here is Robert David Steele with none other than Roger Stone. He has since removed the images from his site, but here's Jason Goodman asking Roger Stone if that was a...
Seeing the links? Army intelligence. Seeing the links? Army intelligence. NATO, psychological warfare operations, Robert David Steele, Al Gray, Cherry Marines, France, Paris. Some had even trained in Paris. Steve Pachenik, he knows French. He's lived and worked in Paris.
A real photo of him with Robert David Steele.
In the world of independent media, we're with Jerome Corsi and Roger Stone. Now,
he confirms that yes, the photo is authentic. That was him and Robert David Steele there. Let's now get into Al Gray. There's Marine Corps University Command and Staff Operations, 1989. That's Robert David Steele. That's Al Gray. He started that university. He ghost wrote the book for Al Gray. This is the homosexual Cherry Marine.
Wait, there's more. He is ghost-written for such infamous sexual deviant scumbags like General Al Gray, a.k.a. Papa Bear.
We are in the warrior profession. That's what we're all about. The people of our great land demand that we be special. They demand that you and I be part of the premier military organization on this planet.
You think they will be able to call you a Marine in a few minutes? The Commandant of the United States Marine Corps, they mostly just call him Sir. Not bad for a former enlisted man, not good for anyone in the Corps who doesn't think America...
They're all from New Jersey, the New York, New Jersey mob. We'll get into that for those who aren't familiar. It's going to be a very good video. I don't want to besmirch Tex Glover too much, but Tex is a famous Special Air Service soldier, Vietnam. Phantoms of the Jungle, famous book about the Australian SAS in Vietnam. Tex, I was painting the house with him and he was giving me a recount. He's got PTSD, he was messed up, nice guy. And we're painting the walls and Tex telling me a 6-man crew and they had the NVA all around them and they were firing mortars in a grid position trying to find them. They were running through the jungle trying to get to the ropes. The Hueys would just drop a rope and they just hang on to the rope to be exfiltrated. They had their modified weapons. I think he had a heavy, he actually had an SLR weapon, 7.62, but had a heavy barrel and was fully automatic. And he jumps on the rope. He's lifted up and, Big Brother, they call it. The Phantom jets were dropping the napalm. He's got it, the full automatic 7.62 with a 20-round drum, and he's just, and he's spinning on the recoil on the rope. And he tells this story, and he wasn't bragging. He was, he's like a therapist. And I'm painting the wall going, holy shit, Tex. And next minute he goes, yeah, and then we got back to base and a bunch of Navy SEALs there and, we'd drink the big jugs of whiskey and then we'd start effing each other in the arse. Quote. And I'm just standing there going, okay. I believe Tex was going for a sex change. I think he's dead now. But that's the sort of shit that goes on in Special Forces. They share each other's wives, girlfriends, cars. Sparta, man. We're under so much pressure.
All right. Well, I don't know whether that's exactly correct. What we used to say when I joined the Marine Corps in 1950 is if the Marine Corps wanted you married, why, they'd issue you a wife.
Do you remember Al Gray as described by the legendary K. Griggs?
General Al Gray. My husband was the chief of staff for General Al Gray, who was the commandant.
So does Robert David Steele know George Griggs, Kay Griggs' husband? I reckon he does. I reckon there's a good chance he just might.
Of the Marine Corps.
It's a small world, isn't it?
And I probably shouldn't say this on the tape, and you all can get rid of it, but he's a homosexual.
Gray.
Gray.
Okay.
He's what they call a Cherry Marine.
Here, this is 5 minutes describing Al Gray, sexual deviancy, orgies guarded by Israeli intelligence involving US military officers, drug trafficking, and the New York, New Jersey mob to which Kay attaches General Al Gray, a hero to the chipmunk Robert David Steele. Before we go on, let's read this from Steele's website. 1989, General Al Gray with Robert Steele on global intelligence challenges. Now this is from Robert David Steele's own website. About the idea, historic contribution. Anyway, you'll start linking it all together. You start linking together tranny sex on camera. The closet homosexual, General Al Gray, attending all those tailhook parties in Shellback. You remember that with Kay Griggs? Little chipmunk cheek Robert David Steele was in the same room with General Al Gray, for which must have been a considerable period of time. And on we go. Here's Kay Griggs on Al Gray, and this is only a small bit on Al Gray. Trust me, there's a lot more than this.
Now this term cherry marine.
We won't do much more, another couple of minutes. I just want to get where she talks about the New York, New Jersey mob.
Brooklyn, New Jersey mob.
Roger's relationship with Cohn was in part mentor. Cohn had a slice of history and a circle of friends that would not have necessarily been part of our orbit. It's how we met Trump.
Donald Trump is probably one of the most important names in America today. He is, as I say, the closest thing to a genius I've ever met in my life.
I had a lawyer who was a very good lawyer, tough lawyer, named Roy Cohn. He introduced me at one point to Roger Stone. Roy thought Roger was a very tough guy. Roy knew some very tough guys, I will tell you that, but Roy always...
Yeah, there's a few problems here. I'm glad I found that. I'm going to mark that. Out of sync. This sometimes happens with big projects. I'm going to have to fix that now. All right.
Us to Donald, and Donald was one of our clients at Black Manafort Stone in the early 80s and was a client of ours for a long time.
My husband, Al Gray, Sheehan, they're all Brooklyn. Cap Weinberger. Heinz Kissinger, there's the Boston mob, which was shipping weapons back and forth to Northern Ireland. And I don't want to get too deeply involved in that, but it goes, Israel, some of the Zionists who came over from Germany.
In der 1871 erstmals verkündeten Vereinigten Deutschen.
Henry Kissinger was a well-known, totally a homosexual, not even both ways.
And so his wife is a marriage of
oh, it's just a convenience. Yeah, and he might, you know, maybe he's discovered women in his late age, I don't know. But no, I heard through a very well-grounded German that Henry's best friend...
All right, nearly there. There's obviously a few problems with this. I'm going to have to do some major fixing. Major fixing. Aha, that's why that chunk's missing. All right. Just happens with really big projects when you group stuff together, like when you group stuff together and you're way down the other end, you might not realize as you shift apart that it's still attached to something up here, and that shifts that along. But let's go to one final bit, William Rostow. Let's just find the Rostow bit. The Israelis train with the SEALs. What's going on? So this computer's just, it can't handle it. 32 gig of memory, solid state drive, and it's Intel. It's a piece of shit. I hate it. Got to get rid of it. Come on. See, it should be filling in these title bars. Probably going to crash. I'm waiting for that. There you go. That's what Walt Whitman Rostow. Let's watch this little bit here.
With the SEALs. They do a lot of wet ops, murders. The Israelis train with the SEALs. They do a lot of wet ops, murders, over here. But that was Walt Whitman Rostow and his crowd. And he's a very dangerous man. Because Walt Whitman Rostow is a communist.
Okay, and in what capacity is he?
Oh, he was one of the wise men in Kennedy's administration. I think he was probably responsible for the movement that got Kennedy murdered. I believe it was an Israeli group which did it.
Remember, this is 1998 when she did this interview. That's how far ahead of the curve she is.
With some of these rogues. Walt Whitman Rostow
I mean, there's the ultimate deep state rat.
was the one who got us into the Vietnam War because he wanted to sell the weapons and stuff. Walt Whitman Rostow went with Taylor, General Taylor, and wrote the report that got us into the Vietnam War. And all the time that the Pentagon was saying no, 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 he was a cheerleader for the weapons sales. He and Henry Kissinger, Heinz. He and Henry. Walt Whitman Rostow, Eugene Debs Rostow, these were communists, named for communists.
Okay, now you get why Henry Kissinger was there. Running Henry Kissinger, communist, setting up Mao, setting up China with Nixon 73, the Binational Science Foundation, by the BIRD, the Binational Industrial Research and Development Foundation, and we'll talk to Diane very soon. She's dug up a heap of stuff, and thank you to the people that sent me some new legislation that has been found. This video is huge. It's going to take probably till Wednesday, but I promise you, it's going to be a very interesting video. It's got sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You're going to go, wow, that is, I shouldn't say, but a certain journalist has picked up on this. I contacted him and he's going to look into it. And you're going to find some interesting linkages. Big Lenny, tranny porn on camera, sexual deviancy, drug trafficking, steroids, army intelligence, human growth hormone off the books, Bethesda Naval Hospital, Fauci, National Institutes of Health, Roger Stone, Richard Greenbaum. Want to do something useful? Richard and Jennifer Greenbaum linked in with Nadia Stone, Roger Stone's wife, who was Cuban. Her father was a military attaché from Cuba. All very interesting. This whole scene, it's all sex, drugs, rock and roll, Epstein, you name it, it's the same group. And there's Henry Kissinger, and everyone's just yawn. There's Steve Pieczenik, Kissinger's right-hand man, going, the Constitution's outdated. Oh, we'll make Jared and Ivanka Kushner, the Chabad Luboviches, we'll make them president. And it's like, am I in fairyland? Biden isn't a choice. There is no choice. You'll all be voting for Trump. Who else are you going to vote for? I promise. I don't think, the magical unicorn's adamant there's going to be some heavy stuff go down. I don't think it is. I think by Christmas you'll be shopping. There'll be no COVID app. Fauci will be sacked. Bill Gates will be sacked. Right hook, right hook, right hook. Trump's going to romp home. It's all army intelligence. It's all horse shit. It's a fake war. It doesn't mean that Trump is in on it. It doesn't mean that Hillary Clinton's in on it or Obama. They don't know. They just get their orders from Wall Street and the City of London, whether they know it or not. But you and I know this. So we're going to keep the narrative alive. That's what we're going to do. That's all we can do. I mean, if I was in the US and Australia, I would be lobbying and doing some pretty amazing stuff on the street. I can't do anything. I ended it myself when I thought I'd go to Iran, and that's when I found out that Iran's in bed with Israel. They're all working together on the Belt and Road. So watch the videos 1 to 11 at least. This video will be defining to a certain degree. It's a big video with highly disparate events I've got to meld together at the end. I expect it'll be up by Wednesday. Some good news on my health front. Blood tests, I now know what's wrong with me, and I haven't been well for a long time. I thought how I couldn't work it out, I don't know, but I think, God, I feel like shit. Well, finally, I now know why. And that's actually not that hard to fix. So I'm already feeling a little bit better after being to the doctor after 4 days. So I expect to be back on top, and just keep fighting, keep the narrative alive. There's a lot of good people out there, a lot of people on the inside who were technically fighting and just unaware. But Pieczenik has announced the breakup into a Hunger Games, devolution of power, into not even the governors, not even the states, but into individual cities. This is Werner Falk, this is Amitai Etzioni, communitarian law. If you want to know more, watch video 5 and watch them all, but 1 to 11, especially video 5. And I want this to be a complementary video to video 5. You'll get it, and you'll understand they're splitting up the Rothschild empire. It's like Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs is running Apple. He had the Apple II team against the Macintosh team, and he fought them off. It's a report from Iron Mountain. It's where they're using war and the War Powers Act and technology innovation via war to set up the Rothschild planetary empire. That's what they're doing. And they want to be benevolent if they can to slowly cull us off. And Alex Jones and his tranny porn and all the rest. Everywhere you look, there's sexual compromise, weirdos, whack jobs, all of them. You can't find a, quote, normal person anywhere in this group, whether it's Hillary and Obama or it's Donald Trump and the gang and Roger Stone. About the only semi-normal one who's not a sexual deviant appears to be Steve Bannon. But Bannon's hanging around a few fraudsters in his time. And Miles Gao, a Faye was telling me, Taiwanese American who advises us sometimes, he says Miles Gao is Mandarin, he's very thuggish. And I thought, yeah, organised crime, that all makes sense. And he says he's always asking for money, but he's supposed to be this billionaire. Sorry for the sound quality. My recorders, I put brand new batteries in. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to sort that out. Sorry for the poor sound quality. Anyway, we'll talk again soon. I hope to have this up by Wednesday. Thanks to everyone who's donated, Patreon, and to my bank account. And someone sent $80 US in Bitcoin. Thank you very much. I didn't even realize it was there. I was just, it's always a bit of a thrill, the crypto. But I expect there'll be no COVID app, and Trump will be the hero. And you'll be shopping by Christmas on the new Fed crypto app. Fabian socialism at work, scare you to death, and then give you the manufactured ending, the dialectic. And of course, I'll end with a bit of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and you'll understand what's going on. Most of you know Bill Cooper, you know Ezra Pound, you know Eustace Mullins, you know Reverend Ted Pike, you know G. Edward Griffin, you know it's all the bankers, and anyone who keeps trying to tell you that Hillary and George Soros and Obama are running it all from their sperm-drinking bunker. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. We're going to tie it all together. Thanks again, Chaff, and out. Speak to you soon.